The Dune production has already written out certain scenes for the Dune Part 1 script, which may appear in Dune Part 2. They may even play out precisely in this way. This is how the Water of Life scene could play out in Dune Part 2.
You need to face your fears.
So now it is daytime in CH Tabr. The Fremen lead Paul and Jessica into the CH proper. It is a vast cavern, balconies rising in tiers to the rocky roof, glow globes illuminating the cave-like constellations. Paul stares in awe at the sight. He does not notice as Chani takes Jessica by the hand and leads her away out of sight. It's a great changing room. The Fremen strip off their still suits. They change into soft CH robes. And now there's something called the Reverend Mother's Chapel, which Chani leads Jessica into. Both women now dressed in robes. Jessica is mystified, not knowing what she will find. Reverend Mother Amalo nods solemnly at her from her wooden throne, her face joyful even at rest. Jessica will approach, knowing at once that this is a true Reverend Mother. And then the figure in the chair will say in Shakopsa, "I am the Reverend Mother Ramalo." Jessica will then go to her knees before the old woman, like a little girl, looking up at this ancient presence. "My name is Jessica," and the old woman will take Jessica's hands in her own. The Reverend Mother will continue in Shakopsa, "I know. I've been waiting for you." In the main cavern of CH Tabr, Stilgar throws an arm around Paul in the crowded CH. They wear clean robes now, the Fremen around them, jubilant with the homecoming and in anticipation. Stilgar will say, "You named yourself well, my friend. Let me tell you why. The mouse Mu'addib is wise in the ways of the desert. He makes his own water, hides from the sun, and moves by night. The constellation that points to the North Star we call Mu'addib, the one who points the way." Hoarse whispers in the back of the crowd will say, "The Mahdi." A commotion rises across the cavern. A low chant in Shakopsa, solemn and profound. Paul will turn to see a procession approaching through the crowd. Chani walks in front, carrying a smoking censer. Behind her comes a platform born of the shoulders of Fremen. Atop the platform rises the Reverend Mother Amalo in her throne. Jessica sits cross-legged between her knees like a child. A murmur of religious excitement passes through the crowd. The Reverend Mother will smile at her tribe as the Fremen who carry her lower the platform to rest. "My flame will soon burn out," the Reverend Mother will say. "Sayyidina Jessica of the Atreides has consented to enter the rite, that the tribe may have a Reverend Mother when I am gone. It is fitting that she taste the waters and pass within." "It is fitting," the Fremen will all together say. The old woman sits wearily back in her throne as if this speech has consumed the last energy of her body. And then two watermasters, female Fremen, approach Chani bearing a water sack heavy with liquid with a narrow pouring spout. Chani will lift the water sack from their hands. She'll take a knee beside Jessica where she sits between Ramalo's knees. "Here is the water of life. That frees the soul," Chani will say. "If you be a Reverend Mother, it will open your eyes. If you be not, it will close them forever. Shai Hulud be the judge." She lifts the sprout to Jessica's lips. Jessica opens her mouth, and Chani puts the spout in her mouth and squeezes. The water of life gushes forth, running down Jessica's chin. She swallows, eyes wide in surprise, almost as though an immediate effect of the water of life hits her. Jessica stops breathing, her pupils dilate violently, and then kicks in Jessica's internal awareness. Now this should be an interesting visual cinematically, because now we're in Jessica's internal awareness. It could follow suit the same as Paul's visions, which were just simply frames in different color. So it may be that Jessica's visions are more colorful than the scenes of reality. But I'm really hoping they push this a little further. They dial up the experience of the water of life a little more than mere spice visions. Jessica's inner eye sees the poison enter her body, viscous clouds swirling in her bloodstream, cells constrict, synapses fire like chain lightning. All these visuals have to be portrayed in some kind of trippy effect. correct, otherwise it will kind of lose its impact, so they really have to get this right. On Jessica, as the chemical siege transforms her body, every muscle locked in a death rigor, skin paper white now, veins tracking, charcoal grey, eyes rolled back in her head not breathing. She's dead, essentially. The water of life has killed her. She has to change the waters to come back to life. The crowd watches in utter silence, waiting. Paul stares in horror, watching Jessica die. Stilgar grips his shoulder, knowing what he's going through, you know? This is the agony. She must pass through it, Stilgar says. Jessica's internal awareness continues to do its work. We see the toxic reaction at the molecular level, complex chemical bonds forming and spreading, killing her. And then, a new molecule forms, a catalyst, transforming the water of life into something different, something miraculous. The golden catalyst arrests the chain reaction and reverses it, sweeping it back, a divine transformation. Now, this golden catalyst should be linked to the color that we see on the screen itself and also be associated with the golden path, hence it being golden, I suppose, which will be fascinating to see. Again on Jessica, as her color returns, the dark veins fading, she takes a deep breath and the silent crowd sighs in rapture. And then Jessica opens her eyes. We dive into her pupil, and in that darkness we find the Reverend Mother Amalo opening her eyes. We dive into her eye, in turn to find another wise woman, and another, tunneling back through time faster and faster, so we'll get to see all of the women, all the ancestors from the past in this chain reaction, which will be a visual spectacle, until we burst through to a Zen tableau. The Reverend Mother Amalo sits in her chair, her third eye shining. Between her feet sits Jessica in lotus, her third eye shining also. And as we watch, another light is born in Jessica's womb. We know who that is, don't we? On Chani, as she approaches Jessica, who is breathing deeply, her eyes are open, focused on infinity. Chani uses the spout of the sac to take a drop of moisture from Jessica's mouth. And then we see the golden catalyst sweep through the water of life, transmuting the poison into a sacrament. Jessica, in a dreaming whisper, says, "It has been blessed." Chani turns and raises the water sack. The Sayyidina has passed within. Her eyes are open. She has changed the water. Share in the blessing. Chani will step off the platform, the crowd parting for her. She'll walk straight to Paul and hold out the water sack. Water of life. Drink, Chani will say. The Fremen will murmur, Lisan al-Ghaib, Mu'addib. Paul will allow the sprout into his mouth and Chani will squeeze the sack and the potent drug will gush within. And then Paul's world will dissolve into a prescient vision. He'll see fanatical Fremen commandos charging into battle. Fire and fury. Sardaukar raining down from the sky by the thousands. The Fremen will wail at the shrine of Duke Leto's skull, crowned with gold and surrounded by the bones of slain Harkonnens. A host of sand riders will go to war on the back of a sandworm, and behind them another sandworm, and another, a vast army. Just a quick note here that the vision Paul sees in Dune Part 1, where he fights with the Fedaykin emerging from the sand, may have been a repurposed scene which was inspired by this vision from Paul. So this may be scrapped entirely for Dune Part 2. Or it may make its way in some form, like showing the shrine of Duke Leto's skull. After Paul's vision, Chani will lead him across the great cavern. Around them, the Water Masters are giving the changed water of life to all the Fremen. The mood is ecstatic, communal. Some Fremen sway in a trance. Others lie, staring at the ceiling. Some cling to each other erotically, shedding their robes. On the wooden platform, Reverend Mother Amalo collapses, her life force spent. A dozen hands ease her from her chair. Jessica sits serene and joyful, eyes closed, arms wrapped lovingly around her stomach. Then Paul has another vision. Gurney Halleck roaring in rage. Chani howls in grief. Stilgar draws his crysknife, snarling. A young girl looks up at Paul with otherworldly eyes. Of course, this is Alia. The Baron Harkonnen laughs. Thufir Hawat closes his eyes in anguish, and then a fleeting glimpse. An older Paul, bearded and blind, a bandage over his eyes, hands outstretched to the sky. So we may get to see a bearded Timothée Chalamet. In Chani's Yali, Paul rises again from his vision like a drowning man. He's alone with Chani in a lantern-lit nook, lying on embroidered cushions. She cradles his head, their faces close. Paul is buffeted by his visions, feeling out of control, but the closeness of Chani is an anchor for him. He kisses her fiercely. Paul says, "You are Sihaya, the desert spring." "Yes," Chani says. "The future is full of fire," Paul replies. "I'm not afraid," Chani says. "When we share the water of life, when we are close like this, I see what you see." "What do you see?" Paul has another vision. Spinning with Chani in his arms, laughing, they watch a fiery sunset with a high cliff, wind plucking at their robes. Chani clenches her teeth in the pangs of childbirth, holds a baby in her arms. Paul washes Chani's hair, and I guess the visual of Chani washing her hair with water, so much water, would be something seen as strange for a Fremen people who conserve water so carefully. Paul rises from his vision again to find they're making love. Chani is naked on top of him, moving in slow rhythm. He clings to her, the moment intimate and achingly beautiful. She kisses him and murmurs to him from inches away, "I see us giving each other love in the quiet between storms. It's what we're meant to do." "Sihaya," Paul says, "you are the strong one. Stay with me." "Always," Chani says. She nuzzles him, the love in her eyes commingled with spiritual devotion, kissing his names one by one. Paul, Usul, Mu'addib, Lisan al-Ghaib, the one who points the way. So this is the scene that the filmmakers have envisioned for Dune Part 2. Whether or not it will play out exactly like this, I cannot say for sure, but I'm sure this draft will definitely be an inspiration for the Dune Part 2 script, because they already had part of it written, essentially, in these scenes. I think they'll still have to work out how to form a love bond between Paul and Chani. I don't think it's quite there yet. These scenes only come from a draft anyway. If you enjoyed the art that was featured from Dune, Adventures in the Imperium, Sand and Dust, consider getting your own copy. If you wanted to learn more about the peoples of Arrakis, it really scratches that itch, something the film didn't really have time to do, and the Modiphius edition is a beautiful collector's item to own. Probably the best Dune merchandise out there right now. Great artwork, great background information, and a really good RPG game. If you'd like to get a copy of your own, follow the link in the description below. Thanks to Modiphius for sending this out to me. Check out some of my other Dune content, or some of my other popular culture videos here.